On a quiet afternoon on the outskirts of a small town, Sarah, a housewife, was preparing to welcome her husband who had just come home from work. Their old house, a family heirloom, always holds beautiful memories and a million stories in every corner. The atmosphere was so peaceful, but that calm changed in an instant when Sarah sensed that something was wrong. He heard heavy footsteps upstairs, even though he knew that he was the one at home. Full of suspicion, he ran upstairs, but found no one. Fear became more intense when Sarah was in the living room. The bookcase door opened itself suddenly, and the neatly arranged books fell to the floor. The atmosphere was silent, as if the old house itself was holding its breath. The shocking moments reached their peak when Sarah saw a faint shadow in the corner of the room, an indistinct silhouette. He tried not to panic and said loudly, "Who's there?" However, the answer came in the form of a whispered voice, a voice that was very sweet but filled with sadness. "This is my home. I died here." Sarah was silent. The sound came from inside the wall, and the vague image disappeared. He felt as if he had just communicated with something outside this dimension. Her husband's arrival a few moments later brought comfort, but the event left a mark that was difficult to forget. Since then, the old house has not only been a residence for Sarah's family, but also a place that holds unresolved stories from the past. This true story is proof that sometimes memories and energy from the past can come back to life in a different time and space. On the outskirts of a forgotten city, there is an old house that has stood since colonial times, too beautiful to leave, but too haunted to stay. The last family to occupy the house, the Thompson family, left suddenly for no apparent reason. One day, a young family who had just moved to town, the Andersons, decided to give the old house a second chance. When they arrived, the sweet smell of ancient wood and long dry paint greeted them. However, the atmosphere inside was not that warm. On their first night in the house, when it was raining heavily, they heard the sound of unfamiliar footsteps in the dark hallways. When they chased the sound, they found doors opening by themselves and a bone-chilling night breeze. Strange events continued to occur. One night, dark shadows appeared on the walls, forming inexplicable images. On another night, the sound of a child crying was heard from an unoccupied bedroom. The atmosphere of unease reaches its peak when the Andersons discover a secret drawer in the locked basement. Inside, they found photos of the Thompson family that appeared to show they were always being watched, even after leaving the house. In the end, the Anderson family faces a difficult decision: stay and face an unseen presence, or leave the old house and leave the mystery unsolved. Whatever they choose, the shadow of the dark legacy of the old house will always haunt every corner, waiting to reveal secrets that have been kept tightly locked. In a remote village, there is an old house that is kept away by the local residents. Strange rumors surround the house, and local residents believe that it is a place where uneasy spirits reside. One day, a photographer named Emma heard about the existence of the old house and decided to explore it. In search of unique portraits for her art project, he arrived at the house on a sunny afternoon, but when he stepped inside, the atmosphere seemed to change instantly. Cracked walls and a dusty floor greeted him, but there was one old wooden door that looked different from the others. Emma felt the urge to open it, as if something beneath it was waiting to be revealed. The door led him to a room that seemed separated from time. The dark room is full of antiques and neglected furniture. In the middle of the room, there is a wooden table covered by a thick black cloth. Emma felt as if something was pulling her towards the table. When the black cloth was lifted, he found a number of old black and white photos showing a group of children and an old woman. Their faces looked dark and somber, like something more than just photography. Unknown to him, the door to the room, which had been open, suddenly closed tightly. Emma tried to open it, but as if empowered by an invisible force, the door remained closed. The sound of cheerful children's laughter could be heard all around him, but the long, dark corridors of the house were empty. Panic struck when Emma realized that she was not alone. The old woman from the photos appeared before him, her blurry face radiating an aura of darkness. In a hoarse voice, he said, "You opened a door that shouldn't be opened. Now you have to stay with us." The house becomes home for Emma, but not in the sense she expected. The forbidden room he found was a portal to another dimension that embraced him with the backwardness of time and the shadows of a dark past. The old house, as if alive with untold stories, continues the horror story that now includes Emma's name on the list of eternal residents of the house. Those are 3 horror stories from old houses. Thank you for listening to the horror stories this time. If you like this horror story, click like, subscribe to this channel, and activate the notification button if you don't want to miss the next horror story.